Does the government work for us or do we work for the government? Tonight, what if the Constitution no longer applied? What if the whole purpose of the Constitution was to limit the government? What if Congress's enumerated powers in the Constitution no longer limited Congress, but were actually used as a justification to extend his authority over every realm of human life? What if the president, meant to be an equal to Congress, has instead become a democratically elected, term-limited monarch? What if the president assumed that everything he did was legal just because he's the president? What if he could interrupt your regularly scheduled radio and TV programming for a special message from him? What if he could declare war on his own? What if he could read your emails and your texts without a search warrant? What if he could kill you without warning? What if Supreme Court justices no longer looked to the Constitution to determine the constitutionality of a law, but rather simply to what justices who preceded them thought about it? What if the rights and principles guaranteed in the Constitution have been so distorted in the past 200 years as to be unrecognizable by the founders? What if the 50 states were no longer sovereign entities, equals to each other, and parents of the federal government they voluntarily constituted? What if the states were mere provinces of a totally nationalized and fully centralized government? What if the federal government's role in our lives? What if the federal government decided if its own powers were proper and constitutional? What if the Constitution were no longer the supreme law of the land? What if you needed a license from the government to speak, to assemble, or to protest against the government? What if the government didn't like what you planned to say and so it didn't give you the license? What if the right to keep and bear arms only applied to the government? What if posse comitatus, the federal law that prohibits our military from occupying our streets, were no longer in effect? What if the government considered the military an adequate dispenser of domestic law enforcement? What if cops looked and acted like troops and you couldn't distinguish the military from the police? What if you were not secure in your person, in your papers, and in your property? What if federal agents could write their own search warrants in defiance of the Constitution? What if the government could decide when you were and were not entitled to a jury trial? What if the government could take your property whenever it wanted? What if the government could continue prosecuting you until it got the verdict it wanted? What if the government could force you to testify against yourself simply by labeling you a domestic terrorist? What if the government could torture you until you said what they wanted to hear? What if people running for president actually supported torture? What if the government tortured your children to get to you? What if government judges and government lawyers intimidated juries into convicting the innocent? What if the government could send you to your death and your innocence meant nothing so long as the government's procedures were followed? What if America's prison population, the largest in the world, was a cruel and unusual way for a country to be free? What if half the prison population never harmed anyone but themselves? What if the people had no rights except those the government chose to let them have? What if the states had no rights except to do as the federal government commanded? What if our elected officials didn't really live among us, but instead all had their hearts and homes in Washington, D.C.?
Come on.
What if the government could strip you of your rights because of where your mother was when you were born? What if the income tax was unconstitutional? What if the states were convinced to give up their representation in Congress? What if the government tried to ban you from using a substance in your body that is older than the government itself? What if voting didn't mean anything anymore because both political parties stand for big government? What if the government could write any law, regulate any behavior, and tax any event? The Constitution be damned. What if the government was the reason we don't have a Constitution anymore? What if you could love your country but hate what the government has done to it? What if sometimes to love your country, you had to alter or abolish the government? What if Jefferson was right? What if that government is best which governs least? What if I'm right? What if the government is wrong? What if it is dangerous to be right when the government is wrong? What if it is better to perish fighting for freedom than to live as a slave? What if freedom's greatest hour of danger is now?
Get in. We got comments. Did you like that? 16 rare and suppressed video clips, cartoons and interviews. It is Friday, the 17th of January. It's effectively the channel's first cast, Man's first cast, Man Live, with comments. So good to have you back. It's a bit of a late one. We've got the Night Owl crew in the cast. Not that you are a crew, but I will put this in for you. Did you enjoy that? So what a refreshing change. Let me find the actual video. I'll give you that link. You can have that now. Last orders. I said I'd go live yesterday. I fell asleep. I broke my bond, my promise, my word for that. I hope you can take my sincere apologies and at least see I was tired yesterday. There's your link for a full 16 video link. Somebody emailed me that, so I didn't find that myself, but it came through the collective sharing. Bosh. Fell asleep yesterday. I thought I'll sit with Anne-Marie, have a little kip, power nap. It's been a long, strong, and it's been a long Friday, and it's busy. So yeah, just forgive me for taking a bit out. How are we? Hello to the 23. A lot of what's. Yes, Craig, S, Jerry, Snafu, Steve, Andy, Albert, Fly, Robert. We have written something similar to represent the servitude here in England. Brother Appen, you might say that. Jerry, by the way, Dave, last vid, I believe you may have said it was child friendly. I heard Tube didn't allow vids aimed at children and would take the channel down. Now, new TNCs from 2019. Yeah, I thought I was in full cognitive parallel with the new rulings and chats, and if it's made for kids, assets, offspring, etc. Just look at the TV outside, the TV inside your room, the broadcasting channels, and the gratuitous programming, and the mindless violence and sexual innuendo, same gender interaction. Not that that's bad, but in certain realms, in certain minds that aren't fully formed yet, you should be able to cognize that at a later date, man might argue. So there's certain things that they have everywhere, which is really bad, really negative, horrible programming. The text, you see, what they didn't think we'd see through is the text has a context, a subtext. With the text, context, subtext. So there's three things going off there, and it's just dirty warfare. And now they're trying to impede the art of war with the rules of war, limitations. It's just madness. I have put out before that it's not me that's on the video, it's a digital representation of me. This is a vehicle for me to record me live in this room now to be reflected on this vehicle of YouTube. So I've got quite a funny way of looking at things, but yeah, I am aware to try and keep the channel as a vehicle, pardon me, for the time being. What am I saying? Hey, I'm just checking on the chat. How are you? What any comments have you got? Happy new decade, happy new year, happy new mad things going off. What do you think about Max Egan's video? Interesting. I am always smiling like the Cheshire Cat Owl. What have you got gossip wise, news? The points and comments I raised. I'm not here to preach today. I'm here for you to bounce back at me. So over to you, over to the scribes. And just make sure I've seen all of the comments. A very good evening. What? Same to you, Andy. Fist bumps and hearts. Have you got anything you'd like to bring to me to report? Anything specific? I'm going to get Matthew from Sheffield, brother Matt, on for a political barrage. So anybody that's feeling like talking polo tricks and point business, speaking of warfare and the art of war, you know, shadows and cabinets and whips and ministers and generals and such things that go off in privy councils and high places, you know. We'll get Matthew on to direct correlation into what orders, last orders at the bar is a thought train that I use for the title of this video. Orders being given on a, you know, a world platform of warfare, and then orders being given civilly, civil orders, obedience of, you know, policy. So God-given rights, inherent, implied, inalienable, unalienable. Yes, we went through that on Facebook the other day, didn't we, Albert? I believe. Has anybody got any questions, comments, feedback, things they couldn't say when I did the update the other day? Informative points of view. Looks like you're all good. Anxiety. We'll get Matthew on because he was the one that brought to me when I said about Yankin not feeling too chipper on a Sunday night and displaying signs of anxiety and angst, amongst other things. 1 minute, Andy. I mentioned that there was maybe an incident here, and Matthew, that his daughter also shown signs of Sunday night sicknesses before, and that's where we got our heads together and had a chat, and you know, I get him on to reflect and bounce with regards to that. But logbooks and the comments, homework, the pressure, going to school is like having a job. When I was at the higher schools, higher education, indoctrination, they put us in red, green and yellow groups, Eagle, Osprey and Kestrel. They called them houses, and there was like militarizing, rankifying the us, you know, and it's just madness how it all works. These poor little souls and life force turned into a labour force, turned into a workforce, turned under the force of, you know, of law, and it's just, yeah, not too wholesome, is it? No wonder they get angst. The pressure they have on them these days is somewhat, I couldn't imagine, you know, I do see, but she has a lot of pressure on her. They all do. Andy, it looks like the incident at school has gone away since the request for the document overseen by Paralegal Trust. I'm gonna give you a bosh. Well done. Good news. Kev will have some good news. I haven't spoke to him this strong, so I will catch up with him tomorrow. No need for any neck. I'll put this on again, so it's like the first cast. I've done it, so we've gone back in time. Now you can comment. It's just like the same video, the video I did the other day. But you're here. And I'll catch up with him tomorrow, and I'll see if he wants to do a cast. I believe he will. We have already said yes, if I'm remembering an earlier conversation. So stand by for good news updates. Enjoyed the chaplain. And do you know that Lorraine was not fighting tax bill on the fiction entity entertainer? No, I've got to research more. I only found it the other day, and I just saw some headlines, and Piers Morgan had done a video and says let's chat, and then I realised we couldn't chat. I haven't dug all the way into it, but there's got to be juicy bits in there from some of the excerpts that I read banding around that I actually got to, you know, seen as a search. The chaplain was, yeah, that's brilliant, isn't it? Chaplain and the cheeky young star. What a star he is, a star of the stage, a true star. How do you go on about getting bond, i.e. money through your birth certificate so a man and woman can use it? Now that is the 60 billion trillion pound question. There is more than million ways to actually answer that snafu, but to you, to the point, communicating with higher levels of military, government and houses, what language you do use to do that, and instrumentation, and what generals and secretaries you would notice is somewhat in debate. And would you Adam and Eve it? It's all right on the line as we speak of us, multiple times now, doing different things. So if you can't tell me right here, anybody, and there isn't seeming to be anybody publicly going to give us a helping hand, trust and equity, the key at 21, knowing who you are, knowing thyself, losing the fear, implementing the instrumentation, the equitable instrument and the equitable asset. Instruments are normally paper-based, things that you use, and musical. In this case, there'd be instruments, paper. So you've got the certificate, the bonds, and then you've got the asset, the afforded signatory. Now we need to work out the matter, facts, and the facts of the matter. So it won't be long. I did say 2019 would be the last year of suffering, heartache, pestilence, misery, sorrow, sadness, despair. We will learn to control the credit. You have in this system, rights. How you see and choose, get your rights, is one thing. How you get access to pots of treasury and bonds, and so we can use it is another thing, because not everybody's honourable, not everybody's conscionable. So if we just put it out there that there was a way that every man, woman, child, family, clansman could get access to this, and we put out there, and it was written like the Georgia Guidestones are, with a message on. And anybody that went and read that message, the stones in a public place, like the Georgia Guidestones, I've got that message in the public place. And we left it, and everybody went, and, Tom, Dick and Harry, it got around. It was on, let's think now, somebody put it on their Instagram, and it was all around the world. You didn't have to come here and physically see it. You could just have it on a digital format, and everybody started unbonding, getting access to untold energy, credit, I'll term it loosely, funds. And then you went out. Can you imagine what would happen with the chaos, with the ones that just wanted to go crazy? So I think if that was to some extent put into ones that have information, knowledge and power that aren't well equipped to use it, like the present world and stage at the minute, we're seeing what's happening there. That's a carefully crafted plan of a long continuum. So even though I may know more than what I am letting out here, I'm being rather coy because of where we are, so you have to find your way, mate. You have to find a path. Don't stray from the path, because the jungle is massive, is what they said in the day in the warehouse. Common law courts. 50-50 on that. Common. Is it possible to get remedy in a fake court? You can't get remedy in a fake court, Andy. Of course you can't. No, I would say no. A fake court, or even a court as such as we know them, that are the lower county district magistrates, trading secure bonds without securities, etc., indemnification since the year of. But you would right. So with that, you would argue that we have said it's not been dealt with, administered, handled with due process. Is some of the argumentation is it's administrative and arbitrary without the due process. But they have. That's the point. They are using exactly authored, black and white, texted, codified, secular, all of that in the way that they manage this business with us as the trustee in this constructed statutory due process and way of managing civil claims and liabilities, duties and obligations put on the person and the civilian. Now, the crux of the issue is we would want to see a judicial process where the law is involved rather than the rule of law, policy, procedure, codified, legislative, mandated, Whitehall, upon your person by default. So assumption and presumption. And to do all of that, you would need to notice, which is what I focused on at Christmas, some of the offices, I would imagine, rather than going straight to the papacies and so forth, and international places such as The Hague or other such exchanges and commissionaries, you would maybe start at home, which is why I put on the Facebook and the .com some ideas of KJV person, titles of property, accesses of thoughts, of train of thought for you to look at, and alongside the render of the Christian name, surname, as it is to certain offices for nothing else other than a belief system and a matter of staying out of sin. So there are many things, you could use code and write and do whatever you want, but these courts have a line of the king, a line of the priest, and they ultimately have the UCC commercial code running, which is the unified commercial code. So it's commercial, it's code, and it's unified. So that says it in itself. It goes everywhere, and it's translated by all. So language underneath the legalese, which is binded with the ecclesiast, with the maritime admiralty ship that's in the vessel there. So it's a gang, and if you get a warrant out for your person and they come and assume you're the person and they take you in, you get took into a gang's clubhouse and a place of business, and there's no, Julian Assange may not be the most innocent of brothers, clansmen, but I don't think he deserves the treatment and the disrespect that he seems to have got of late. So any one of you that do not follow the rule, like I, or speak out, or dare have the audacity to not follow, and to question, and to wonder, and to ask why, and to say, something's not right here, and I'm not, I'm not going to say anymore. You are equally as vulnerable and as innocent, no criminal, no harm, no victim, but they have such a way of perpetuating these claims and liabilities, and you will pay your debt to society. So if man has got to pay, like that bloke just said, half of the inmates in prison haven't hurt anybody but themselves, but they're in prison. So why are they in prison? It should be society's way to help the ones that are less weak, vulnerable, needy, and we should the afflicted, the less able. But no, we don't. We do this, and we put them in warehouses, and they make privatised institutions, and it goes down the way of like the academised schools, indoctrination camps. So profitability. The courts, judges, very expensive, aren't they? You ever tried hiring a barrister and paying for it out of your own pocket? Solicitors, going down London, and courts and fees and hotel, everything all thrown in, but very expensive, aren't they? Yeah, that's what they've done. Publications and books and courses and whatnot, very expensive. Everything's taken out into the commercial aspect there. But man isn't commercial, your rights aren't commercial, and there's an underpinning mechanism to all of this. But without the relevant backup support, witnesses and so forth, there's nothing any man could do. High profile cases getting put into the public realms of media are there to deter you, it's to some extent, and to make a mockery to other extents. So we've been made to look a mockery. Our reputation now, after the allegiance with America France, is it, and Germany to the Middle East. There's been songs being chanted singing death to our countries because of our involvement. So I'm not right now at this moment, if we just move the courts to one side, let's put rockets and innocent families and being launched and smashed on because of I don't know if you all agree with that, but I'll testify here and now, I'm not down with that. I don't agree with that. I don't want a foreign war policy. I don't want any war. We should all disarm and we should sit round and have a chat, have a debt amnesty, stop the clock and start again with a 2020 vision. But we can't do that for some reason. And here we are. And we're now in allegiance with. And the whole world's going upside down. So I'm not, with my soul, to all of you, not happy about any of this. And I need to declare to the alleged masters of person who's bonded with the, to be the surety for these families that, had an idea that they could enslave the whole world and make it run for them. I'm not down with that. I'm not going to write to all them families and get them down into the history and the lineage, but I'll go to the chief officers, commanders, secretaries, principals, executives, etc., the military, and let them know honourably. There's also something else in the pipeline, quite a few things. There's backups, but charity starts at home. Finding yourself, being quiet. Like Mac Igan said on the last other video, the truth, that's something Pontius Pilate said, plagued him. What is truth? Well, I'm not even going to get into that, but if you quiet your mind and you take everything away and you sit there for a bit, things start to happen. You get into the zone. We need to sometimes forget, quite a lot of what we think we know and go again. Let's look at your comments. I've said enough. See who's in now, see if there's any new scribes, any questions, any feedback, any New Year's feedback. What about, I fell asleep on the premiere for Santos, and I hear Sister Karen fell asleep and she premiered a video with me and Claudio and Trinity, was it? So I was around for a bit and then I had to go and help the anchor, so I missed the ending and I heard her sister fell asleep. We're all falling asleep because we're dog tired and dog soldiers. Snafu says go through John Smith Common Core online. That's an option. Who is John Smith? Where did he come from? Who funds him? Where is he registered? Who's he registered with? All things such as go through my mind. I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I haven't looked. I haven't researched him because he wouldn't speak to me in chat, and I couldn't meet him in person. And I thought, I'm doing my own thing and I don't need to be researching somebody who I've no interest in and I haven't managed to speak to because of Alderhay, and I'll leave it there. I didn't want to know anymore because if we all have forgotten what was done with a certificate of a certain young brother who's no longer RIP with us, that was, saved by the common law court apparently, but yet it wasn't saved by the common law court because the higher court went over that and went, doesn't matter. Are these yours? Did you drop them? These belong to the common law court because this is what the high court's doing. And that's what happened in Alderhay. So that's not to John, that's not to anybody. That's a hypothetical way of me saying, all right, because you need to do it and have knowledge yourself. You need to have conscionable intent and action. So you can give to somebody something and you can try to have it protected with, but you ultimately have the power. You are the author, you're the authority, you are as king. So it should ultimately be done through a family member with others, brothers and sisters. I have set things up in play, and I could become an agent for somebody, secret agent, Agent Smith, wow. And and others have tried to do this, and that's fine. That's all well and good. It's just we should have the knowledge and the education to be able to speak correctly, write correctly, conduct business correctly, and control our own credit correctly. That's it. And nobody paid for this planet. None of these governments, none of the world leaders, not even the UN, not the EU. Nobody's paid anything for anything, but yet they've had invasions and they've staked to their claims, and that's what's happened. There's been all through history battles and militaries and land possessions, repossessions, takeovers, kings within kings, bloodlines fighting for land. So all I need to say, the war hasn't stopped. It's just the present occupiers have been here rather a long time. And what they've managed to do is subjugate and subrogate us, take out the law and put in policy, remove the man and put in a citizen. And it's become first place by ignorance. But ignorance is no defence. Equity doesn't hold a volunteer. If you go in and tell man your name, if you go in and volunteer stuff, then equity won't aid that volunteer. Equity doesn't aid a volunteer. Okay then. So what do? They always get, and that's why they do this. Not just only principal equity does not aid a volunteer applies to, but that's one of the reasons of which it must be under duress. Because if you want to, So when you've got equity and you've got the supremacy of yourself, of your knowledge, of your authority that's equal to all man, then you would rather have that. That's for you to choose. But it doesn't take a university degree. John Doe, take the 2 letters from the Spartan's national insurance number, replace them with 16 years from your birth year, with the 16 years from your birth year instead, and that's your account number. That's very vague, John Doe, but I did notice comments like that some years ago on ARC accounts payments on Facebook, and we did look at the Treasury Direct routing and account numbers, and there are proclamations from the House of the papacies there, with the master accounts getting divvied up, cooperative declarations, proclamations, paper ones, motu proprio and subsequent others on the Ecclesia and the Uniform Commercial Code then, which is the maritime and admiralty governance covenants from the House of, where the obelisk number 1 is, from the nation of, and these are the accounts that would be connected. We found out there was with a bank that was Scottish, I believe, maybe the Bank of Scotland, and I found my one in Sheffield and had some fun investigating that. There is a bit more detail needed there, John, but you're not far off with what my memory is telling me when we was doing a bit of due diligence and research. And why would, I'll give you this, why would a major international trading shopping platform allow me to call up and give them to John and others the number from the account number, 8-digit account number, and the sort code I already had, because I found it was when the other bit of this detail was with the year when you turn 16, the city that you are in. If it's not your resident city of birth, then again there's a bit more detail missing. That's what I'm going to tell you now. And then I was in a place of Sheffield, so I knew that there was Bank of Scotland in Sheffield in certain places, and so I picked a couple of banks and went onto a website and did an account checker on websites with sort codes and with account numbers and then different sort codes, because I didn't know which one of those Scotland's in Sheffield it would be maybe at the account, if there was an account. And when I did that sort code checker online, it said, "Ba-ding, green tick, David." I went, "What?" This wasn't the fidelity.com or any kind of Edgar dot nothing. This was just me on a little mission with some others on a secret little squirrel thing. And lo and behold, I went, so you mean little old David? And a few calls later, others had done the same and got some green ticks. And we went, so what do? We take these now because they're in our name and we add them too. Okay, and we did that, and we did, and wow, I'll stop there. So, what a tangled web we weave. Royal Bank of Scotland, then it was, there you go. Albert, John, Menza, hello, I see new names have dropped in. Happy new century, happy new year, comments away, fist bumps and hearts. John. That was a really good sun and moon cast. Yes, Jerry. Evening Scholars, life is 2020, giving you plenty. Yes, Quinn. I like that, Squire. I like that a lot. What? I walked out of my court. I was not there by myself and made a decision over at the dead name. Yes, John, I bet you did. Hey up, Leeds, says Michael. Yes, Leeds. Respect, Menza. Made my point about common law court though, didn't I? Put it to bed, shut it down. There's no supreme nothing with, but manslaughter, murder, even when you tried under common law. There is a common law of this land. I don't deny that, and I accept that, and I follow it. I do not breach the public trust and so forth. We abide by that. It's a simple rule of the realm, do good by others, and even a universal one. So the common law derived, look at bylaws, you've got your your other laws, your high laws, and your public laws, your common law. Look at bylaw, and it writes, look how it's written, by law. But how is it formed? It's supported by local communities and the local arm of the government. Just dodgy. The name in itself, written by law, means it's done by law, like it's the law, but it isn't law and it isn't by law. It's just totally wrong. But they're interested in themselves, bylaws. Another mess up with the common law arrangement of summary. But yes, when you have invading forces and imperials like we've had, empires and so forth, then you always have a rule of a dominant one, like that little boy said from the Charlie Chaplin video outtake. You always have the rule, the force, and the layer cake. So the common law man and wife, I've argued that many a time before. Common law rights of, and that will always be, because even when you travel and you go to other countries, you will find their common laws and customs and practices of the landmass. So the United Kingdom cannot have common law because it doesn't exist except on paper. And that leaves us with England and Wales, leaves us with Britain. Like looking on the passport, what does it say? Does it say you're a citizen of England and Wales? Or does it say you've got a British passport and you're a British citizen? Land, property, law, titles, it's all rather mixed up and messy, but there are layers of that. And the common law is the residual tribal contact law. Tribes in themselves, peaceful tribes would have abided, non-aggressive. Back in the day, we would have had a common law, and our tattoos and tribal markings and what X, Y, and Z would have governed that. And it's the secularization and the civil, like Max Egan said, the civilization part of it. I could have exploded so many times when he was going on. Bless him. Thank you for that, John. Stuck in time, new scribe. Hello there. What did you miss? Nothing. It's happening now. live and direct. I have missed you all though. It has been 3 weeks since I've done a live cast. I did one yesterday and there was no comments. Faux pas. Rule policy change. Forgot all about it. Interesting user. Let's watch 904. Indeed. Let's not argue with that though. Worshipful master. Worship. Who do you worship and who do you love? The Messiah. The Messiah. The man in the black. Yeah, I'd like to talk to you more, but with an ID username of such, I'm going to move on. Oh, bless you, Menza. Thank you for that. Much love. Flags are key in warfare, battle, shippery, chivalry, indeedy. Skull and Bones are the pirates' flags. Then we've got the fraternity of the Skull and Bones. We're in the Skull and Bones. Oh, God, I'll never get that out of my head. That man, and those words, and the Skull and Bones fraternity, the bushes. That's G with the comments. The Jack be nimble. There's a lot of Jacks, isn't there? I've gone into Jack before, but the Union Jack, I missed that one. Jack, there's too many Jacks. In the beginning there was Jack. Jack had a flag, and in this flag there was 3 colours. And sorry, it's amazing. Thank you very much. Good Lord, you're going faster. You've got 33 in the watching scribes views, and a fair amount of you chatting away. I have missed you. Brethrens. Fly, we'll talk over the weekend. This strong, I've been battered. I've done loads and I've had a lot of pressure. I had to take a beating today as well, by my own doing, kind of. So I'm going to do this crash out, and then I'm having a full day tomorrow, and I'll be on the contact front in the evening. You're all good. You're very lively. We'll get Kev, all right, and we'll do an update on here, the .com. And we'll put the link on Facebook. We'll do it that way. Katniss, bless you, Katniss. Oh yes. Aye, aye. MTS, yes, finally seen this man himself live. Bosh, new scribe, MTS, all the new scribes, all of the ones in the house, what we're doing. Astral to project within my first 5 days. Now that's something that Max put on the end of his video, some interest in not astral projection but informative clips of, and I've researched. I would also like to look into this. Hello Lisa Gray, Bosh. Just seen your comments. I also wanted to look into this about the remote viewing, and very scary what you can find there. I didn't think astral projection was all that tangible, and also when you astral project and they see stuff, when he astral projected, one of these guys, he went to the place but he saw it 40 years before, and what he drew was indicative of the time before this lad was even born, and he drew something of a place of which they gave him coordinates for. Oh my days. And I'm like, are you for real? This is so you can project, but from what I've found in my research and diligence, you can project, and it's limitless, because we're in a non-localized reality existence, atomic structure of the field flux modality. Stressing me out at night time. Where did that come from? All from projection, astral, amazing. More data and practice. Irish Gale Force, well said. English national and UK citizen. Now, as it say in the passport, British citizen, I do believe, doesn't it? So you've got your Britain correlation there as well. You've got your UK, you've got your England and Wales, and then you've got your Britain, all three in play, live and direct, simultaneously. Intermingling, just like the court system with all the layers of. And you've got your gold frill, leaf, Admiralty, trim, with your UCC and your Ecclesia running across, your bonded certificates and your banking constitution and your exchanges and bills, but yet the chapters of constitution of persons linked into national debt. That's why the national debt keeps going like a big rocket, because persons are always linked to the national debt, and they always have to have persons, because the national debt and everything that's securitized for that is on the persons, which has got to be us, because there's nothing else. As that family that wanted the resources of the realm. Can you stream on UT with Kev, or maybe? Yeah, I will do, Menza. It's done. It's more likely every Saturday or every other Saturday with Kev and his availability. So, commonly known as England. Yes, Albion's a good thing to look at. Research the giants of Albion. One, we have a West Brom Albion, and we have an Albion in many ways, Albion, and then England Albion, the British Isles. The years I've written down in one of the publications, a timeline from Britain to England and Wales, and then to obviously the United Kingdom, the usurpation of man. Stuck in time. Article 6 DHR. Human rights says we have the right to be recognised as a person in front of the law, which means in Surrey juris propria persona, for one, just one, but that would be in one's proper person. So that's not an all caps fictionalised entity, asset, surety, trustee, etc. You also can be seen as each human is afforded the right of persons. But why is a human afforded the right of persons? Because a man cannot be present in law. It doesn't fit. It's not recognised. The flesh and the blood. Yes, well, the private person can be represented. Also look at naturalised person, private person. There's a lot of lineage and links I've got with all of this. How you choose to reference and look at is key, and well done for doing that. Excellent comment. Stuck in time. You are, yes, paying attention. Irish Gale Force. $32 in the house for a 11:30 random chat. Well, there we go. We've all missed each other then, haven't we? Thank you for the... We're going to wrap up, and yeah, I'm going to let you know through the .com and Facebook, SPOs Pro, if Kev is available, and when we have another cast there. I do an update on the .com on a Saturday anyway, and with the alignment of the 13th, the 10th of Jan till the 13th of Jan, the encumbrance of the 12th of Jan, as Claudio Trinity Santos and other astrotheologists have pointed out, the calendars of time up above. The fact that I now would argue that the manuscripts of these bibliothèques, all of them, would be a way of helping man cognize over time the correlation of the relation of the zodiac to the planet and man. So these books, these scriptures, you know, is very very amazing journey that we've been on. So these synchronicity, syncretism, to get Santos's exact, he loves it when you get it right. Syncretism, synchronicity, ones and threes. How long have we been going on about ones and threes? Too long. Man's been going on words too long. Man's been going on about them too long. We need some more ones and threes in here. No, we don't. Man's got too many ones and threes. And so when I stumbled across Magenta Pixie, and I've been watching her for some years, but the video of the indigo alignment crystal such and such, I was like, wow, okay. And then she was telling us the dates and the times and the 10s and the 1s and the 3s and the 12th and the new year being in the middle of the 10th till the 13th. I was like, by chance, hey, things are going on. It's a great time now, and I had to respect there's a lot to be done, and I had to correlate what's happening and do what I needed to do as well. And there is a lot more now articulated and on the table. There's more come forward to the fold in all areas, on the scribe front, on the domain, on the book of faces, on the emails. And so there's good news coming thick and fast. There's new stuff from Sweden happening. I did mention that they had what would you call it now, a webinar with Peter of England over in Sweden from Brother Anders. I didn't tell you the content or any of the data. I'm just telling you that it's moving. People are thinking, others are working, work's flowing, edits, proofreads. We need Albert and Co and brothers and scribes, tribes, fam, initiates of self. You edit these documents, work amongst yourselves, be the master brain that you need. When one of you's got a question, I know for a fact that if my 3,000 so many scribes were instantly accessible via a polite messaging system, imagine the network we'd have. If one of us had a question, one of us would have the answer. I guarantee it. Or we would know somebody who could provide the answer. So we need to have that mentality now. Egos have long gone, and we have desires and aspirations. We have a covenants and a governance to respect. Look at the state of how things are. It's not good. There's real crimes going off, and they're not happening on neighbourhoods, hoods in general. We need to look at the hoods, the hooded ones that wear the hoods, the hooded order, it's a nice little hooded thing for going outside. It does fit when I adorn it right. There you go. See, but the hoods, we need to look at them. Yes, we've said hello to Sister Lisa. Much love to you and the fam. How are you? I hope to see a comment soon. The Anders Argentina, just in. Yes, there, Anders. Thank you for that. Much love, brother. You are a living legend. Another indigo. I know a lot of you probably are indigos, light workers, crystals, rainbows. You've got to be for the support, the love, and the feedback. So shout going out to Man's Light, Anders, just like that. If that is you, I do believe it is, and other indies and etc.'s out there. Bosh. This is how it moves. Siemens, that's the road control, Quinn, that control the traffic light systems and the sea, on the seamen, that's meant to be the sea. Siemens, I believe. It used to be, if it isn't. You've then switched to Menzies, enzymes, so enzymes, Siemens. Oh, I see what you've done there. I see what you've done. I'm tired. It's the end of a long, strong week. Thank you, Quinn. Irish. Pick on my Swede, fly on the wall, mash me toot. Timeline's meshed up, yes, Gale Force. Anders, I can feel your energy across the ether. Anders is one of my favourites. I don't know why. Your character, the way that you first presented, how he presented in a room full of people. And I don't mind saying this, if ever you meet him, he's got a bit of a tiny speech impediment. It's not an issue. I've got speech impediment myself, speaking fast, and others. And he stood there and he presented an articulate line of argumentation and questioning to a room full of 50 to 60 to 70. And afterwards, I just had to say to him, yo, I like that. He was smiling, he was happy, and the way he came across, it was brilliant. And it took a lot of balls to do that. Not everybody will stand up and go, and say, so respect. And then we went outside after and we'd had a chat and got to know each other, all of us, not just me and Anders. Bless you. Dog God get Pluto. Dogs, relationships with dogs. What do you have there, Pluto? And Goofy, Pluto. One's a dog, the other's a dog. One's a different type of a breed of dog that walks that dog and owns that dog. Dog in dog. God dog, Pluto. That were you, that, John. That's just random as what? You just put all that there. Shout going out to John of the Middleton clan for his dogma god. Dogma, I can't even say it. Dog Latin. Dogma god, dog Latin, Pluto. And then it just came out with Goofy. Dog tags. I had Lee Scratch Perry, is that? Lee Scratch Perry, is that? Lee Scratch cassettes back in the day. Mad Professor. Captain Beefheart, anyone? Shh. The Mad Lads. Cassettes. Getting your biro out and sorting out your cassette with one of them, eh? When you had your cassette, just so happens I've got one of these, sort your cassette out, look. Spinning them back and re-stretching them. I've caught up, I'm at the end, I'm up to where we are. So that's it, we're all strong, we're all good. You're not angry with me for taking time out and not babbling all over Christmas, not coming on Christmas Day and going, recreating some kind of crazy speech. The intent was there, we've conveyed the feeling and the emotiveness. So I've got a shed load of jobs to be done, which I can't really publicly announce, but thank you for offering, everybody. And we'll reconvene in the usual places, and we'll continue on with the good work. I'm now going to crash out. Thank you for this fly as well, it's absolutely brilliant. Since having distilled water and mineral water in one of these, I've become a water snob. An actual water snob. When I was younger, I used to drink from the allotments, from my granddad's allotment bit. And when it was summer and I was out with my friends, we'd go into the allotments with our bikes, and as many of you also will have done, and we filled up our water bottles from the allotment's manky drain pipe tap. And then we'd go out again, and we'd be off for another few hours, and we'd always know where we could find free water. On the canal, when the boats need to get water periodic throughout the canal, you'll find water at hydrant outlets where you can get a tap and water. We drink from them. So I've not always been a water snob, but now if you have water straight from the tap, once it now tastes like this. Some years ago I was in someone's house, and he had always made funny tasting tea and coffee. No matter if it was a coffee or a tea, it tasted funny. I could never put my finger on what it was. And I said to him one day, because listen, I don't want you to be offended, but I don't want any more tea or coffee. I get bad guts when I drink your tea and coffee, and the taste a bit funny. What happened was, he says, I've stopped using boiling water now. I'm like, what? How else do you make a drink? He's like, no, what I used to do was run the hot tap, fill up the kettle with the hot water, and then put the kettle on, and it used to boil quick. I'm like, oh, man alive, Legionnaire's disease, sacre bleu, c'est not possible. Legionnaire's disease, for one, drinking hot water, but people putting it in a kettle because it's hot, and the kettle boils quicker. Genius idea, but it has that taste. And that's what that taste from that tea was. When I said to him, I can't drink no more of your tea and coffee because it tastes rank, and I don't want you to be offended, but what is it? Can you tell me? Is it something you do? Is it a magic spell? Are you poisoning me? No. I'll not get into all of it. But if you don't have water and you don't look after yourself, then I don't know, you'll not live healthy as you can. I'm not a pinnacle of health at all, but what I'm saying, Fly, is I didn't think copper would really change anything, but it does seem to taste a bit more cleaner, vibrant, fresher. And when you drink tap water again, in an emergency, or if I'm out and about and I'm polite and I'll have a drink somewhere which is non-filtered drink, and you don't want to be rude, so you're just like, oh man, fluoride, I haven't had any fluoride in a good neurotoxin. Drugs, know your drugs. Yes, we do know our drugs, government. Thank you for educating us in that one. What type of fluoride is it? Oh, fluoride's normal. No, it's not the normal fluoride that's wholesome and good for you. No, it's a special kind of fluoride sourced by one of your... Yeah, so it's just wonderful, just to have that comparison. In when I was little, water was water. It would just taste the same as someone looking at adults drinking sparkling, water from the pub, paying £2 for it or something. In 1986, it was like, what? They're drinking sparkling water, pay £2 for water. Yuppie. So much love and respect. Water, it's a commonality. It's a common thing for all of us, and it starts there. Some for a lot of the things. My psoriasis, I'm kicking arse with, as it's a random update. It's nearly gone. What? I'll do a proper update, but it was there, I do believe, and it's gone. Oh yes, that's on the minimal. That's on the grand solar psoriasis minimum after about 2 and a bit years. So, bosh, give it 6 months, it'll be a wee speck. Water from tap is only for kids squash, not even for the kids. Goats, are you giving goats orange juice? Hey, or are you referring to your offspring, assets, young stars, sired ones? I'm only messing, Peter. Dr. Masaru Emoto does the rice water and experiment intent. Anubis, Egyptian reference, John, I caught that. The dead. We are going. Shut down, say your loves and good nights. We're going. Yeah, I'm going to have a look at some more of your channels and videos and catch up. I did some at Crimbo. Yes, David. What? John, you're so bland. Come on, what have you to think about? Place a flower on the water jug, light a candle till morning, give it happy thoughts as it has memory, and it will help give you a good feeling to it. Yeah, wow. Yes, intent. Crystals. Gardayatin.se. What have you got for us there, Anders? What is that? Thank you very much. Yeah, sub to each other as well. Give yourselves a subscribe. Virtual fist bump. Yes, Steve, I didn't see you there. How are we doing? I gotcha. That's it. I'm tired. I'm beat. The end of the strong. Last orders was given an hour ago, and 4 minutes. Okay, we're kicking out now. It's kicking out time at the bar, the Temple BAR. Oh no. We're honourable, noble men, and it's time to say goodbye. Get your kebabs and your taxis. The lights are coming on. Everyone's going home. DJ, stop playing them beats. Wagwan. Last orders at the bar. That's right. That's what the title was. Leeds. Orders are being given. Quite a topic at the minute. Thought I'd go with that broad spectrum umbrella of the vocabulary of orders. Orders, if you put your French accent on, there could be hors d'oeuvres. But I'm not French. Respect, much love. We will be back soon. Alright, button moons, self-governing initiates of whatever you consider yourselves to be. That's a ciao for now. I'll see you soon.